South American nations always come to World Cups with pressure and expectations of performing well, especially the former world champions Brazil, Argentina and Uruguay. But great things are also anticipated from the slightly worse, albeit still great, Chile, Paraguay, Colombia and Peru. Furthermore, at the risk of sounding disrespectful, even Bolivia and Ecuador have each played at a FIFA World Cup on 3 occasions respectively. However, there is one South American nation that has never reached the competition. That nation is Venezuela. La Vinotinto's first qualification attempt was for the 1966 World Cup, where they were drawn into the same group as Uruguay and Peru, losing every game in the process. Their 1970 campaign saw minor improvements as they obtained 1 point this time around, following a 1-1 draw with Colombia. This feat was also repeated in 1978 qualification. They withdrew from 1974 qualifiers. On March 15, 1981, 43 years after their first international match, Venezuela recorded their first win in World Cup qualification, 1-0 against Bolivia. But they still finished last in the group. Venezuela's next World Cup qualification win was in 1993, 2-1 against Ecuador. Again, they finished last though. They were awful in 1998 qualification, failing to win a single game out of 16. However, a notable highlight was when their goalkeeper Rafael Dudamel scored against Argentina in a 5-2 defeat. Venezuela's 2002 campaign was their most respectable one up until that point, defeating Bolivia, Uruguay, Peru and Paraguay at home and Chile away. This was only enough to put them in 9th place, however. They experienced their first away win and didn't finish last for the first time in their history, so that's definitely an upside. Improvements had been made. After subsequent World Cup qualification failures in 2002 and 2006, where they obtained 12 and 18 points respectively, Venezuela had their eyes set on the 2007 Copa America, a tournament they hosted. Despite them being destroyed by Uruguay in the quarterfinals 4-1, it was a performance to be proud of. They drew 2-2 with Bolivia, defeated Peru 2-0 and managed a heroic 0-0 draw against Uruguay in the group stage. Yes, they played against Uruguay in the first knockout game even though they were in the same group. I am just as perplexed as you. Following Cesar Farias' appointment as head coach, Venezuela's results improved. In 2010, they experienced their greatest World Cup qualifying campaign yet, finishing 8th with 22 points after 18 matches. Once again failing to qualify, but the Venezuelans had reasons to be optimistic, because their greatest moment was around the corner. The 2011 Copa America in Argentina. Venezuela started the tournament by sensationally holding Brazil to a 0-0 draw. This was followed by a 1-0 win against Ecuador and a remarkable 3-3 stalemate with Paraguay, enough for them to advance to the quarterfinals. 4 years earlier, Venezuela had been eliminated in the quarterfinals, but this time around the end result was different. Chile, who had finished ahead of Uruguay, Peru and Mexico in their group, scored for Venezuela in the 34th minute, but Humberto Suazo equalized for Chile in the 69th. However, Gabriel Cicero of RC Lens scored the winner for Venezuela 11 minutes later. For the first time ever, they had advanced to the semi-finals of the Copa America. But in the semi-finals, they suffered a heartbreaking loss on penalties against Paraguay. Since then, that success has not been surpassed, and Venezuelans will have to keep waiting patiently for their World Cup debut. Venezuela's national team is not bad, rather the victim of a highly competitive confederation.